What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring, and today we've got a quick repair item for the 2001 Corvette. So if you guys saw my last video on the issues I'm having with some of my fleet, the 2001 Corvette has a belt squeal that has started about a week ago. Ironically, right around the time I did the oil pressure sensor replacement. So we're going to go ahead and replace that today. The car hasn't been giving us any error lights or anything like that. The belt seems to be grabbing just fine. Nothing seems to be slipping at this point. But obviously the squealing belt is kind of the first indicator of an aged belt or something that's prone to failure eventually. These LS1 engines are known to eat these belts, especially on these Corvettes. It's not uncommon for them not to go that long. So we've got a new one in stock. We're going to go ahead and get it installed, show you how easy it really is. First things first, guys, we're going to go ahead and get that hood released. And lift it up. Our hood struts probably could use to be replaced in the next year or so, but they're still holding for now and still raising, so that's not too bad. When it comes to the front of the car, our drive belt is right here, our main drive belt. It's got decent tension. I don't really see any signs of wear on it as I've turned it around, but obviously the squeal does tell us that there's probably some cracking and it's starting to dry out. So let's go ahead and get this old one off, get the new one on, and see how it sounds. I believe I've shown this on the video before. This is going to be our tensioner pulley that we're going to go ahead and connect to release the pressure from this belt. We're going to make note of the path of the belt as it goes around. It should be a pretty easy thing to get off and back on, but just make sure you know how it's going to go before you take the old one off. Alright guys, we've got our lighting set up here. Our garage is not well lit. As you guys may know, I do work nights quite often, and the little overhead lights, the little single setup of fluorescence up there, and the little LED bulb, not quite enough to really work at night in the garage. I ordered on Amazon a set of 10 LED big bar lights that are supposed to be very bright. Hoping to get those pretty quick and get those set up. That's going to make working at night a whole lot easier. You guys may be aware that video doesn't pick up low light well either, so that's going to help everybody out. Hopefully that'll be in soon. Also, I don't know if you guys have seen these on the channel before. I do love them. If you guys have seen these for sale, they're called grip mats. And honestly, I'm pretty impressed by them. They're relatively simple for what they are. They're just little pieces of silicone that have different measurements cut into them and different storage compartments that are flexible. They kind of stick to whatever surface they're on. They don't scratch anything up and allows you to kind of keep your tools in one place. I think they should be cheaper than what they are, but man, they're super useful. So what I've got here is a 15mm socket that's going to go on this top bolt. That's going to allow me to flex it forward and get that belt off, release the tension from it, and hopefully get it slipped off the whole thing. I'll show you the new one we're going to be putting on, and hopefully this will be a pretty quick process. So this is just a 15mm bolt right here. All you're going to do is put a breaker bar or ratchet on. You can see it goes forward. And in doing that, it gets a little bit of tension released from it. And once we do that, we can go ahead and release the belt. Now, for this job, we're going to have to take our ratchet off again to release the belt off. We can set that over on our grip mat. And we can see our belt is running under this water pump right here and around the bottom pulley, or harmonic balancer, that was replaced fairly recently in this car before I bought it. Haven't noticed any shake with it running, but this is another common weak point of the C5 Corvette. So we're going to get that off of there. From there it runs around to the other side of the car. Okay, I don't know how well we can see on this side. I'm going to use my phone as a flashlight. We can see the belt comes from under the water pump, right under here, comes around the alternator. From the alternator, there's going to be a big pulley right underneath. That's going to be the power steering pump. And then there's going to be another little pulley right inside that's then going to go around the harmonic balancer. So that's going to be a little interesting to fish through there, I think, but I think we can get it done. and swapped out. Okay, we've got no tension on here, so it goes around the alternator, around the bottom of this power steering pump, there's a little bolt on the back of the ABS pump that's got to be worked around. Goes around the top of this little pulley there, in between where the water pump and that pulley go. And let's go ahead and get it off the last little pulley on the other side. Okay, it's caught here at the bottom of the harmonic balancer. Turn it sideways, it'll flex right out. And I think we should be good to just pull it. We're getting caught here on the edge of something. Obviously, I think this goes without saying, but make sure the engine is cool before you go doing this. So it's caught right on the actual steering arm because it's trying to pull out sideways. It's rolling well. There we go, released. And back over that same ABS pump bolt. There we go, our belt is out. So we've got our old belt off, and we've got our new belt right here next to it. Now the old belt, I don't see any cracking in it. There's a little bit of debris inside, but the rubber in general just feels a little bit tacky, kind of like rubber does when it gets old, a little sticky feeling. It's not coming off my hands or anything, but definitely doesn't feel new. This belt, the new one, it's a Dayco brand. They're a Poly V belt. The description on this one really said that it was meant for older vehicles, maybe misaligned belts, that sort of thing, and it's supposed to solve a lot of problems with that. One thing I can tell you from just feeling it, the rubber feels a whole lot fresher, a whole lot newer, and the grooves inside don't seem quite as deep, or not as wide at least. The grooves are pretty narrow. So we're going to see, make sure this fits on the car. We'll make sure it's the same size. From Advanced Auto Parts, it's supposed to be the same size. So let's go ahead and get it on and see how it fits. So I've checked the belt. The belt is the same size as the old one, obviously in better condition. I did notice that this says it's made in Italy, so at least we're in good company here. Let's go ahead and stick this on. It shouldn't be too hard to get through, and hopefully that gets rid of our squealing. All right, guys, I'm going to start on this side because there's light, and see what we can get through here. I'm going to kind of let it rest there for a minute and see if I can pull it through. I'll tell you, I can't wait for those new lights to come in because it is so hard to see in this garage at night. Okay, so I can see the belt. Can I reach the belt? Okay. So the problem is really just getting to it because it's just sitting right there. Try pulling it back a little bit. Try with the light putting it in this way and see if that doesn't make it a little bit easier. Okay, that's kind of it. Now let's see if we can grab it from the other side. Well, that gives us a whole lot more room, so I'm glad we did that. Okay, this side is pretty well on. Gonna leave it off that tensioner pulley for just a moment. Make sure this side is running where it needs to. Okay guys, with a quick visual inspection here, we've got the belt going around the alternator, around the power steering pump. It then comes back up on the bottom over this, looks like idler pulley, and then back down over the harmonic balancer on this side. The top comes over the alternator, under the water pump, and then over the idler pulley. So let's go ahead and make sure we have that bottom piece on correctly, and we are done. Well guys, it really is that simple. If I haven't already, I'll make sure I post a diagram here of the correct belt routing for this car. It changes a little bit, I think, by year, depending on the earlier C5s versus later ones, but of all the later C5s, this is how it runs. The belt I used, I'll post a link for that down below, was less than 40 bucks, I believe. I didn't want to cheap out a lot on the belts, I wanted to get a decent one, but still, they're not very expensive. The job itself took only a couple of minutes. All you need is that 15mm socket with a decent length, either ratchet or breaker bar, and this job pretty much does itself. Like I said, hopefully that fixes my squealing issue. I know these Corvettes are known to eat these belts as well as harmonic balancers, so that will eventually go as well. I'm sure we'll be redoing that. The LS1 motor is pretty beefy, not a lot gets in its way. It can be improved in a bunch of ways. We'll slowly start doing that. But as far as a power plant for a 20-year-old car, man, it's hard to beat the ease of maintenance and the cost of maintenance for these vehicles. Well, with that, we are done for tonight. Hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully you found the information relevant to you. Obviously a 20-year-old car, there's definitely going to be more going on soon. Still a couple things we have to fix since we bought the car. Otherwise, we're just waiting to see what happens next. It's always something. Appreciate you guys watching. Again, I'm Chris. This is 4K Motoring. Stay tuned. We'll have more Corvette content coming soon.